Hello, good morning, or good evening whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today I am making some recommendations of books to read this fall. Last week, I talked about some of the books that I was planning on reading this fall. Today, I am going to be making some recommendations of books that I've already read that I think y'all should read. Now, I know it's a little bit late in the season. October is like almost over, which is like actually crazy. But I don't think it's ever too late to get into that like sort of fall cozy vibe. Most of these are going to be more on the like cozy side versus being like spooky, because I don't do spooky. So especially if you're looking for something to read this next week as we lead up to Halloween, these are some great ones. Also, it is so loud and I'm so sorry if you can hear whatever this plane is that didn't decide to fly over until right when I started filming. So please bear with me. I wasn't going to use my mic because I honestly can't tell if it makes things better or worse, but it's just so loud here that I'm gonna try out the microphone, see if that helps, or if it makes things significantly worse. We'll see. Anyway, my first category of books is what I refer to as like contemporary rom-com witchy. So they have like the witchy vibes, but they're set in like modern times, our type of world. First is Payback's a Witch. I really loved the first two books in the series, and then honestly you can probably stop there because I have not liked the other two books in the series, but I really enjoyed this one. It's set in this like small town that's like on some ley lines, and so there's like a lot of magical like activity, and there is a whole like society of witches who live with humans, like normal humans. This one in particular gives very like John Tucker Must Die vibes, but two of the girls who are like trying to get revenge on this guy who like screwed them all over end up falling for each other. So it is so good. It's very sapphic, and it has like very like just witchy cozy vibes. The next one, there's two books out so far, and there's another one coming out next year. The first book is Not the Witch You Wed, and then book two is Not Your Ex's Hexes. It takes place in New York City, and the first one involves a magicless witch and a werewolf, and it has a second chance romance and fake dating, which are like two of my favorite tropes. This one follows the main characters of the first one, her sister. So first one is Violet, this is Rose. Yes, all the sisters have flower names, but this one involves a witch and a half demon. And it's so cute, and it has some like reluctant ally type vibes to it. Then we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I love this book. This is like the definition of cozy. It has like almost kind of practical magic vibes, but like not even as dark as that, because like when you really think about that, that movie is actually pretty dark. This involves a witch who becomes a like tutor to these three young witches who are like foster children, and it is so cute. The romance is between her and a grumpy librarian, so we get those grumpy sunshine type vibes, and it is just perfect. It has like all the good feels to it. Then we have A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Howley. This book is just so cheesy funny. I fell in love with it because of just how like hilarious it is. It's not something that's trying to take itself too seriously, which you can honestly tell from the title. It's about a witch who's not very good at magic, and she accidentally summons a demon, and while they're trying to like send him back, they pretend to date to like explain why he's there. It's cute, cheesy, but like full of like lots of heart. Lastly, kind of in this category, although it's not quite as witchy, is Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This book, if you're looking for a tearjerker, if you're looking for something to make you feel all the feels, read this one. It's about a ghostwriter who can like actually see ghosts, a trait that she's always shared with her father, who is a mortician. And things kind of go into chaos when she starts seeing her editor as a ghost, but they aren't really sure how he died or what his like unfinished business is of why he can't like move on to the afterlife. This next one similarly has some kind of like ghosty feels to it, but definitely heavier on the like contemporary side of things. That is After Hours on Milagro Street by Angelina M. Lopez. She is a badass bartender who has returned to her hometown to take over the family bar. He is a professor who has been renting the rooms upstairs at the bar and wants to like help preserve the bar's history. Again, some just very like Reluctant Allies type vibes to this one. Has some like really great steamy scenes too, so highly recommend this one. Transitioning to books that are like purely contemporary just give like the fall vibe. The Something About Marysburg series by Olivia Dade. This is Olivia Dade's self-published series. There's 3 books. I would say book 1 and 3 have the fall vibes. Teach Me is about 2 teachers, which like back to school fall just kind of goes hand in hand. And then Sweetest in the Gale, you can look at it and be like, clearly this is a fall book. This one's definitely a lot more summer, but it's my favorite of the 3, so you should still read it. These 2 especially, they're like very teacher, very fall, very back to school type vibes. Another series of books is going to be the Love Light Farm series by B.K. Borison, specifically book 1 and 2. This one is a lot more Christmassy. So if you're looking for something to transition from fall to like holiday winter vibes, this one, as it takes place at a Christmas tree farm. And then book 2 is definitely more fall. Book 3 is more spring. I think that was the intention. They would have like winter, fall, spring, and book 4 is going to be like summery. These 2 specifically, they give small town, they give Gilmore Girls, they give cozy romances, a friends to lovers, a one-night stand turned into something more. You can't really go wrong with these ones. Finally, I say Written in the Stars by Alexandria Belfler. Just something about it gives fall to me. Maybe it's the Seattle setting. Maybe it's something about like the fact that it involves like astrology so heavily. It's a fake dating 2 women who are like total opposites, end up dating each other to get their friends and family off their back, and we all know how that goes. Spoiler, they fall for each other because it's a romance book. Okay, moving away from romances. I know I can talk about more than romance books. How about some books with some mystery? If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio is the dark academia mystery book of my dreams. I love this book with all my heart and soul. It is about a group of students who go to school at a Shakespeare conservatory. This definitely brings up some trauma for any fellow theater kids, so I'm sorry ahead of time. One of the students turns up dead, and we're now joining the person who is like accused of murdering him. 10 years later, he has been released from jail, and he is telling the detective the story of like what actually happened, everything that transpired. I mean, dark academia, murder, everything about this says fall. And this is about as spooky as I get. So speaking of mystery, the Charlotte Holmes series or Lady Sherlock series by Sherry Thomas. If you're looking for something in the like historical side and like straight up mystery, I love this series. I binged through, I think right now there's like 7 books. There's so many books. It is a retelling of Sherlock Holmes, but in this one we have Charlotte Holmes who pretends to be her brother Sherlock because it's unbecoming for a lady to solve murders. I will say for this first one, stick with it for the first 50%, because for the first 50%, you're going to be like, I do not understand at all what is going on. As you start to get further into it, everything becomes clear. And as you start to figure things out, it is so cleverly written. This is definitely a book for fans of the BBC Sherlock series. Going back to some fantasy recommendations. Some of these have romance, some of these don't. This is my most miscellaneous type section. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. It's the most like atmospheric book. I fell in love with it. It's about Emily Wilde, who's a professor who studies fairies. And in this world, like, fairies exist. Like, magical beings, they just exist. But they're still like very secretive. She goes to this small town to study the like local fairies of this area. And she is joined by her fellow professor, her academic rival, a guy who she like looks at and she's like, you're not human, you're a fairy. Why are you pretending to be human? And the two of them, their banter is just so good. Again, the atmosphere of this book is just perfect for fall. Speaking of atmosphere and like secret magic and stuff, A Marvelous Light by Freya Mosk. I'm currently reading book 2 and it's just as good. So like you should definitely read book 1 and 2. And book 3 comes out, I think in like 2 or 3 weeks, pretty soon. But yeah, this involves secret societies. We have Robin, who has no magic at all. He's not a magician, but he gets caught up in kind of the magician's world when he gets a curse placed on him. And there is some reluctant allyship happening between him and Edwin, I believe his name was. Oh my God, it's so good. The two of them have to work together to remove this curse. And there's also some other kind of mystery elements involved. I fell in love with like the magic system and again the atmosphere of this. It's like set in Victorian London and the two of them are so perfect together. I love them so much. Another one that is like very atmospheric, and this one is kind of controversial. People either like love it or they like don't really care for it. I personally really enjoyed it. Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Honestly, if you go into this book expecting almost like a middle grade, you're gonna end up loving it. It's about a girl who doesn't know her family, doesn't know where she comes from. She is unable to speak, and it's always been kind of like a mystery as to like what happened? Why is she unable to speak? She ends up getting a letter from her uncle and being taken to this house called Gallant. And there she discovers that this house is very close to the border between like the human realm and the demon realm. I love this. I loved the vibes. I loved the atmosphere of it. And again, if you go in expecting it to be like almost like a YA, like think Spiderwick Chronicles, you're gonna end up enjoying this. A YA book that I love, that I can't believe I haven't like talked about this in like almost a year. It's The Diviners. I feel like all of Libba Bray's books give kind of that fall, spooky atmosphere, but The Diviners absolutely. It takes place in the 1920s, which like that alone, I don't know, just says fall to me. There's ghosts, these teens who have these like magical abilities and they aren't really sure where they come from. I absolutely love this series. It has such good like found family vibes to it. The romance in it is so beautiful, but also heartbreaking. I can't talk about these books too much without like almost crying because I just love them so much. Finally, I Wouldn't Be Me if I didn't give some monster romance recommendations because spooky season, you gotta read about some monsters. Firstly, A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. I read this one this year. I want to continue with the series. It gives Beauty and the Beast, but like the beast stays beastly, you know. The main character is given to this creature called a Duskwalker as almost like a sacrifice. She is to be his bride so that he will continue to protect the like human villages from monsters and demons. And she's taken to the demon realm and thus their relationship begins. It's so good. It's so wild. And I mean, it definitely gives like the Halloween type vibes. Last, but most certainly not least, Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian Lark. I mean, gargoyles scream fall. They scream Halloween. This is a why choose romance where there are 3 gargoyles and a witch. She goes to this like matchmaker to try and find her match, and there she gets matched up with these 3 gargoyles. The 3 of them have been looking for like something that they just feel is missing in their relationship, and they find it with her. It is so sweet, honestly. It's so like gentle and also smutty, but this is the thing that sold me on gargoyle romances. So if you want a place to start, this is the place to start. All right, there you go. If you are looking for something for this spooky like next week, or something to transition you into November, all of these I feel are great vibes. If you read any of them or plan on picking any of these up, please let me know down below. I always love hearing people's opinions about books. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want more recommendations, be sure to check out some other videos in my recommendations playlist. And also be sure to hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you get notified every single time I post. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, bye.